There was a time when Topshop ruled high street fashion. It wasn't just a store, it was a destination, a brand that could make or break trends, sell out designer collabs overnight, and even take over the runway at London Fashion Week. But today, it's barely a shadow of what it once was. So what went wrong? Let's rewind and take a deep dive into the rise and fall of Topshop. Topshop's story actually starts way back in 1946 when British retailer Burton acquired Peter Robinson, a once iconic women's fashion department store. Fast forward to 1964 and Peter Robinson saw an opportunity. The teen market was booming and they wanted in. So they launched a sub-brand called Topshop, targeting fashion-forward young shoppers with cool, trendy clothing. At first, Topshop was just a section inside Peter Robinson's stores, tucked away in a basement, but within a decade, it had outgrown its parent brand entirely. By 1973, Topshop became a standalone brand, and within 2 years, it had 55 stores across the UK, pulling in over $1 million in pure profit. Topshop had found the secret formula: fast, trendy, and affordable fashion that teens actually wanted to wear. But this was just the beginning. I remember when Topshop was like such the name, like we would all run to go buy Topshop from Nordstrom. And I was like obsessed. I love Topshop. Their clothes fit so good. By the 1990s, Topshop was dominating the British high street. But to stay ahead, they had to keep evolving. Their next move: high fashion credibility. They started collaborating with rising designers, bringing edgy and experimental fashion to the masses. By 2001, Topshop took things a step further, becoming a sponsor for London Fashion Week's New Gen program. That was super smart because we all know when you're trying to, have a clothing brand, it is time to sponsor when you feel like your brand is starting to evolve. And then this had helped launch Alexander McQueen and other British design legends. Then in 2005, they made history. Topshop became the first ever high street brand to showcase its own collections at London Fashion Week. Suddenly, this wasn't just your ordinary fast fashion brand. It was a trendsetter. And if you are a millennial, you know how much Topshop was like the it girl clothes. Like if you wore Topshop, like you was cute. Your style was also casual. By the late 2000s, everyone wanted Topshop. Kate Moss, she had a collection. Alexa Chung, a regular at their shows. Vogue, they featured Topshop alongside actual designer brands, with celebrity endorsements, designer collabs, and a flagship store on Oxford Street. And with global expansion, including flagship stores in New York, Australia, South Africa, and France, it seemed like nothing could stop them. But behind the scenes, the cracks were already forming. Those cracks were beginning to crumble, baby. We started seeing crumbs hanging around. And so Topshop had built its empire on physical retail stores. But by the early 2010s, shopping habits were changing. Now you may ask, was this the beginning to the end? The beginning of the end? E-commerce was exploding. ASOS, Boohoo, Pretty Little Thing, these brands were thriving online. And let's throw Fashion Nova in there too, because Fashion Nova has been around for a while. And Topshop, it was slow to adapt. Yes, they launched an online store in 2006, but they still heavily relied on brick and mortar sales, with over 300 stores, expensive leases, and a business model stuck in the past. They were losing ground fast. And that's what I always try to tell people. You have to understand, when you're a business owner, you have to understand how to pivot. So if you see a trend that is like starting to formulate and you know that you can pivot into that, then that's what I suggest you do. See, where Topshop did go wrong, they decided to stay stuck in a mindset from back in the early 2010s when really e-commerce became like such the convenience for people. Like you could throw up a store in like a matter of seconds online and sell out overnight if you had your marketing and game plan together. But with Topshop was so cool where like they could have definitely just went online and people would have just continued to support them. By them not pivoting and going online to sell, they launched their online store, but they only was still stuck mainly on our brick and mortar has to be the one thriving in order for our business to see success. When really they should have pivoted and went over to online and made that their, mega income. Make that their place where everybody goes instead of just relying solely on brick and mortar. And they were paying so much money. Like, you have to look at your overhead. They had expensive leases. They had a business model that was not updated. It had a lot of little dust on it. It had to dust it off and bring it up to date. And they just didn't want to do that. So they just stopped rebranding. And that's terrible when it comes to fashion, because fashion is moving so fast, as well as the beauty industry. Topshop's original target market was 13 to 24-year-olds, but as time went on, they weren't attracting new teens. Instead, they were clinging to their millennial audience, who were aging out of fast fashion. So when we were younger as millennials, we were so crazy about Topshop. But as we got older, we were actually leaving fast fashion. As we began to get older, was not really worried about Topshop any longer. Instead of refreshing their image, which they totally could have, they doubled down on celebrity collabs, partnering with Kendall and Kylie Jenner and launching Beyonce's Ivy Park collection. Great marketing, sure, but it didn't fix the bigger problem. They were losing Gen Z shoppers, the ones who were living online and buying from competitors like ASOS and Zara. And notice how they said ASOS and Zara, because you could not mention ASOS and Zara without mentioning Topshop. And Zara is still actually successful. And while Topshop was struggling, their parent company, Arcadia Group, was in even deeper trouble. At the top of it all was Philip Green, the billionaire who owned Topshop's parent company, Arcadia. By 2019, Green was at the center of a massive scandal. Oh my God, it always goes into a scandal, doesn't it? Why is it always scandal? Like, be successful and be happy and treat people right. That's what you're supposed to do. A BBC documentary exposed allegations of racism, misogyny, and financial misconduct. Ooh, that's a lot. That's a mouthful. Consumers were furious. Boycotts started. The brand's reputation took a massive hit. With stores shutting down, Topshop's heavy reliance on physical retail became its downfall. By November 2020, Arcadia declared bankruptcy. It was over. Yeah, he put his own foot in his mouth. And that's the thing. When people get a certain amount of status, they tend to not do business right. They tend to not treat people right. They tend to do all of this stuff that's not necessary to do when you are of a certain status. And so that's why the empire began to crumble. In 2021, Topshop was sold to ASOS for $330 million, a fraction of its former value. The iconic flagship stores closed. The brand became online only, and today it's just another name as ASOS, with no real identity. And that's so true. Like, when you think about Topshop's identity today, you can only pull off what was marketed back in the 2010s and a little after that. So what can we learn from this? Failure to adapt? Topshop ignored e-commerce while brands like ASOS thrived. And that's important. You have to pivot when things change. You have to get in. You cannot recreate the wheel. You have to hop in on the wheel and create your own unique lane. And no branding. They stuck to the same audience while younger shoppers moved on. And that's, yeah, you have to pivot once again. Overexpansion, too many stores, too much debt, and a business model that didn't evolve. So in essence, when you're a business owner, you want to cut overhead costs. If you can cut how many stores you have open, such as brick and mortar stores, then you should do that and pivot to online. And you can have one big store online and everybody's going to shop there because they are invested in your brand. Bad leadership, scandals, financial mismanagement, and a CEO who lost public trust. And as you all know, your reputation is everything when you're in business, so do not mess it up, or else there goes your sales. Topshop wasn't just another brand, it was a fashion phenomenon. It shaped an entire generation's style, brought high fashion to the high street, and proved that trends could be affordable. But at the end of the day, even the biggest brands can fall if they don't evolve. So what do you think? Could Topshop had initially saved itself? Could it had kept itself in business and thriving and moving forward like ASOS? Or was it just a downfall that, that they just was going to experience anyway? Although I think it was from them not being able to pivot and then the loss of trust. I think that's what brought it down, because honestly, if they would have rebranded themselves, marketed themselves differently, and kept a nice public image and had good merit, then I feel like they would still be around. I think that Topshop will still be thriving. It would have its own lane, and it wouldn't have had a downfall, I feel. Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed the deep dive. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell for more fashion history content. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.